When she ignores you, your first instinct will betray you. You'll feel the pull, the urge to reach out, to ask why she's gone silent, to fix what feels broken. That's the weakness of every man who still believes affection is earned through effort. But in the world of power, in the psychology of dominance, effort is exposure. The one who reveals his need first loses. Machiavelli understood this long before the world had smartphones and unread messages. He studied kings, princes, and lovers the same way he studied war, through the rhythm of control and withdrawal. He knew that the most dangerous weapon a person can possess is absence. The power of withdrawal is not silence, it is strategy. It's not about ignoring her to cause pain, it's about reclaiming the balance she disrupted. When someone ignores you, they are not just withholding attention. They are seizing control. They are saying, "My time is worth more than yours." But a Machiavellian mind never accepts imbalance. He knows that when power shifts away from him, the correct response is not pursuit, it is stillness. In every relationship, visible or invisible, there is a current of energy. One person gives, the other receives. One reaches, the other retreats. The game is not about love, it's about leverage. When she ignores you, she believes she has leverage. She believes her silence will make you chase, and in chasing, you will hand over your dignity wrapped in desperation. But when you withdraw completely, when you no longer react to her coldness with confusion, you reverse the current. Suddenly, her silence begins to echo back at her. There is a moment, a silent transformation, that occurs when you stop reacting. At first, she feels victorious. She assumes you've surrendered, that her absence wounded you deeply. But then nothing, no message, no sign, no emotional display. Days pass. Then a strange thing happens. Her power fades into uncertainty. She starts to wonder, did I matter that little? Has he found someone else? Why hasn't he tried harder? That's the seed of doubt. That's where your silence becomes her mirror. Machiavellian psychology thrives in that mirror. It doesn't chase validation. It forces the other to question their own worth. When you step back with control, you are not punishing her. You are forcing reflection. You're creating a space where her ego meets emptiness. And the human ego cannot survive emptiness for long. It begins to crave the very attention it once rejected. This is the paradox of withdrawal. The less you give, the more valuable your presence becomes. It's the same principle rulers used in court. Appear rarely, speak less, let your absence command attention. A king who is seen too often becomes ordinary. A man who is always available becomes predictable. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn to appear unpredictable, even in affection. For unpredictability breeds fascination. When she ignores you, do not fill the silence with your words. Fill it with mystery. Withdraw into your own purpose. Post nothing emotional, reveal nothing reactive. Instead, redirect your energy into transformation, work, fitness, silence, self-control. When she looks again, she should not find the same man waiting. She should find someone entirely beyond her reach. That contrast is your revenge. The mistake most men make is believing that communication restores connection. But Machiavelli would laugh at this notion. Communication is only effective when power is equal. When power is unequal, words become noise. Silence. However, silence becomes a weapon. A Machiavellian doesn't explain his absence. He lets others interpret it in the way that hurts them most. Imagine her scrolling through your name, wondering why you've gone quiet. She'll resist at first. Pride will tell her to ignore it. But the longer your silence endures, the louder her mind becomes. Every unanswered question becomes a small wound. Every day she doesn't hear from you, she loses the illusion of control. She begins to project meanings into your stillness. Some will be flattering, others painful. But all will keep you alive in her thoughts. That's the brilliance of withdrawal. You do nothing, and yet you command everything. The world believes power is noise, but the Machiavellian knows true power is quiet. The one who can remain composed when ignored possesses a strength that terrifies those who crave reaction. In psychological terms, this is the principle of scarcity. The less accessible you become, the higher your perceived value. People chase what withdraws from them because scarcity triggers desire. In the court of human emotion, presence is abundance, but absence is luxury. And luxury, once tasted, is never forgotten. There's an ancient saying, the sun doesn't chase the earth, it simply shines, and the earth turns to face it. You must become like that, bright, distant, self-sufficient. When she ignores you, become the sun that no longer revolves around her orbit. Withdraw not as punishment, but as proclamation you are complete within yourself. Understand this deeply. Withdrawal is not retreat, it's a declaration of independence. When you walk away with calmness, you demonstrate something far more intoxicating than affection. You demonstrate control. Control over your emotions, your impulses, your narrative. And nothing is more attractive than a man who cannot be manipulated by emotion. In time, she will sense that her silence failed, that what she thought would make her powerful has only made her invisible. She will test again. She will, like a post, send a small message, appear with subtle curiosity. But by then, you will have learned the essence of Machiavellian stillness. You respond not to interest, but to respect. To master the power of withdrawal, you must detach not only from her attention, but from the need for it altogether. Because the moment you no longer crave her acknowledgement, you ascend above her influence. She cannot control what she cannot reach, and she cannot reach a man who has mastered the art of distance. In every exchange between two people, one leads and one follows. One influences and one reacts. The Machiavellian mind knows this truth. Control does not belong to the one who speaks the most, or even the one who loves the most. It belongs to the one who can remain indifferent. Indifference is not the absence of feeling, it is the mastery of it. It is the art of looking into chaos and refusing to be moved. When she ignores you, most men crumble because they take it personally. They believe it's a reflection of their worth. But the Machiavellian sees it differently. He sees her withdrawal not as rejection, but as an opportunity to demonstrate his command over emotion. He knows that the one who can remain calm when ignored gains absolute leverage over the one who seeks reaction. Because people crave validation of their power, and when you do not provide it, they lose control of the game they started. Control through indifference is not pretending not to care. It's becoming so self-contained that you truly don't need her attention to validate your identity. You stop measuring your value by her acknowledgement, her replies, her time. You stop performing. You exist in quiet confidence, as if nothing has changed, because in your world nothing has. This calm, this emotional stillness begins to unsettle her. She expects your frustration, your pleading, your attempts to win her back. But instead, she finds serenity. That serenity becomes a riddle she cannot solve. Machiavelli once said, men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. But indifference walks between the two. It is neither love nor fear. It is unpredictability. A man who is indifferent cannot be read, and what cannot be read cannot be controlled. The indifferent man is a mirror without reflection. She sees herself in him, but only the parts of herself she cannot command. When you practice indifference, you strip away her power to manipulate your state. She may flirt with others. She may post pictures designed to provoke you. She may even disappear completely. But you remain still, observant, untouchable. That is how you seize control without confrontation. Because indifference is invisible warfare. It strikes not through attack, but through the absence of it. Imagine the psychological reversal that happens when she realizes her actions no longer dictate your emotions. She sends a cold message, expecting silence to punish you, but you respond days later with calm politeness, no trace of injury. She expects your anger, but you remain composed. She expects your longing, but you remain detached. Suddenly, the silence she once used as a weapon now becomes her own cage, because she can no longer predict what you feel, or if you feel at all. That uncertainty is your control. The moment she begins to question your inner world, you have entered her mind. And once you occupy her thoughts, she begins to seek what she cannot find, your emotional response. Every ignored signal, every unmoved reaction, becomes a psychological mirror that reflects her frustration. The Machiavellian man uses this moment not to gloat, but to strengthen his dominance through restraint. Indifference is a discipline. It's not something you fake for a few days. It's something you build until it becomes your nature. You learn to hold your composure when tested. You learn to smile faintly when provoked. You learn that silence, when delivered with confidence, has more weight than 1,000 words. That's why Machiavelli wrote that a ruler should appear merciful, faithful, humane, but be ready to act against those qualities when necessary. True indifference is the ability to appear unaffected while remaining completely aware. In relationships, most people mistake emotion for connection. They believe that strong feeling equals deep bond. But the Machiavellian knows emotion is leverage. Whoever controls it, controls the relationship. So when she withdraws affection to manipulate you, she expects your anxiety to fill the gap. She expects you to chase, to prove your worth. But your indifference creates the opposite effect. You don't chase, you pause. You don't demand closure, you embody it. You show her, without words, that your world doesn't collapse because one person turned away. That kind of composure is magnetic. It's the same energy that made rulers appear divine in the eyes of their people, calm amidst chaos. When a man radiates peace in the face of emotional turbulence, others sense strength. Women, especially, sense something unfamiliar in that stillness. Because most men respond with emotion, but the Machiavellian responds with silence, control, and an unsettling sense of calm. This control isn't arrogance, it's order. It's the ability to govern yourself before attempting to influence another. Machiavelli taught that the first kingdom a man must conquer is his own heart, and once conquered, no one can overthrow it. That's what indifference really is, the conquest of emotion. There will be moments when you'll feel tempted to break it. You'll see her post something designed to make you react. You'll imagine that your silence is losing the game. But understand this: the longer you hold your position, the more fragile hers becomes. Because the one who stays calm the longest wins. Indifference is patience weaponized. It waits while others burn themselves out with emotional theatrics. Eventually, her curiosity will outweigh her pride. She'll reach out, not because she cares, but because she needs to restore her sense of control. But when she does, your response must carry the same tone: calm, detached, uninvested. She must feel that your world no longer orbits hers, that her silence no longer moves you. That's when control through indifference becomes absolute. The brilliance of this method lies in how quietly it works. You do not have to raise your voice. You do not have to seek revenge. You simply maintain your poise. The Machiavellian man doesn't fight for attention. He becomes the standard that demands it. His indifference is not cruelty. It is discipline, a reminder that emotions are meant to be controlled, not obeyed. Every time you refuse to react, you reaffirm your power. Every time you let her silence pass without emotional display, you remind both of you who truly holds composure. In the theater of human interaction, control is not about domination. It's about influence without effort. Indifference is the language of kings, and when mastered, it turns rejection into reverence. There is a silent shift that happens in every human interaction, a moment where the observer becomes the observed, the chaser becomes the chased, and the one who once held power begins to crave it. The Machiavellian mind understands this shift better than anyone. It's called the reversal of perception. And it begins the moment you stop trying to be understood. When she ignores you, she believes she holds the upper hand. She believes that her silence diminishes your value, that your worth depends on her attention. And most men, tragically, confirm this belief. They chase, they ask what went wrong. They beg for clarity. In that moment, they become predictable, emotional, transparent. But the Machiavellian man moves differently. He does not chase. He does not seek validation. He allows her perception to turn against itself. The reversal of perception is psychological warfare disguised as detachment. You do not fight her silence with words. You let her assumptions destroy themselves. At first, she sees your calm as defeat. She thinks she has succeeded in making you irrelevant. But days pass, weeks pass, your absence becomes louder than any argument. The silence that was meant to punish you begins to haunt her. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he reacted? Why hasn't he tried to fix it? What if he doesn't care anymore? What if he's already moved on? And this is where the Machiavellian understands the deepest truth of human nature. People desire what they cannot understand. When she could predict you, she could control you. When she could provoke you, she could measure her worth through your reaction. But now she faces a void, an unpredictable, silent, unresponsive presence that used to revolve around her and no longer does. That absence distorts her perception. The one who ignored you becomes the one obsessed with you. The reversal happens gradually. It's not about manipulation. It's about allowing truth to reveal itself. When someone's attention feeds on power, they depend on reaction to confirm their importance. When you remove reaction, they begin to starve. Your silence becomes the mirror that shows them what they are without control, small, uncertain, curious. She begins to project emotions you no longer express. She assumes you're happier without her, stronger without her, wiser after her. Each assumption deepens her confusion, and confusion is the seed of obsession. The Machiavellian doesn't need to prove worth. He lets the illusion of indifference reshape reality. You must understand, perception is stronger than fact. If you appear unaffected, you are unaffected in her mind. And perception, once reversed, cannot easily be restored. She may try to regain dominance, post something provocative, send a half-hearted message, appear suddenly in your world. But your composure makes every move look like desperation. You've become what she cannot reach, and that untouchability becomes magnetic. Machiavelli himself studied how rulers maintained control not through force, but through perception. A prince's power was not in his sword. It was in the illusion that he could not be defeated. Likewise, in the battlefield of attraction, your strength lies not in confrontation, but in composure. The reversal begins when you no longer react to the external world. You become your own source of validation. She begins to sense that your world functions perfectly without her, and that realization dismantles her pride,